Mike Owens with Inside Fighting here, joined today by Kody Steele, who returns to action Dana White Contender Series Week 5. Kody, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
Yeah, it's good. Thanks for having me.
First question I've got, is your real name Kody Steele? Because that is quite possibly the coolest name I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's definitely my real name. It's funny because people always ask me like, "What's your nickname?" I'm like, "It's Kody Steele, man."
You don't
Through and
need a
through.
nickname.
Yeah,
Well, as I mentioned, returning in just over a week's time, how are your emotions ahead of what is a massive fight?
feel good. I feel feel super ready. Honestly, I feel like I really do train year round. So like honestly, I feel like when I get in camp, I train. I want to say a little less because I'm always like kind of like hyper focused on certain type of training. But when I'm like out of camp, I'm like training more because I'm eating more and like I'm just taking a bunch of classes or doing a bunch of meeting up with some people and always getting it in. So once I get into camp, it's more focused and that training for me. So I'm feeling ready though.
Has this camp felt any different to any of the others? Like, because obviously it is a slightly bigger platform, there's a lot more on the line. Has it felt any different, or have you done anything differently in preparation for this one?
Um, Not too much. I feel like maybe the biggest thing is maybe like it's just gonna be on like ESPN and Dana White's gonna be sitting there. But I feel like before this, I was doing a lot of jujitsu and I've competed on like the biggest shows in
Mm.
jujitsu and things like that. So something like this is just kind of like, I think it's just gonna be like natural for me. I've won under the big lights. I've also lost under the big lights. So, I think I'll be all right. I feel like this guy hasn't dealt with like some pressure like this. So I think if anything, like if I feel it a little bit, like I know he's gonna be like super feeling it. So I'll take advantage of that.
What was your first reaction when you got the news, and who did you hear? Who did you hear it from?
Um, Man, I feel like I kind of already knew like a while ago, like they were like before my last fight, they're like, hey, you get past this guy, we're going to Dana White's, and like so like that whole time when I was getting ready for my fight, uh, I was like doing the weigh-ins and all that, and all the promoters and everybody was just like, it's gonna be your last fight with us. And it's probably gonna be your last fight. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And then when I won, I was like, all right, cool. Now for sure, Dana White's next. So like I already kind of knew. I just didn't have an opponent yet, so it was more of a not gonna say shock, but more like of a surprise and like, all right, now it's real when they gave me my opponent finally. So I was like, all right, cool. Could put a name on this date and then let's get to work.
And currently, you're listed as the main event for for that week. Is that correct? Has that been confirmed to you?
On the main event.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
No, has that been confirmed to you? Because that's what it says on Wikipedia. But I'm asking, have you heard that?
I don't know because everyone's been kind of telling me, like a couple people, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be main event." I said, "Sick, let's go!" Like I already knew that. I honestly, I figured it was gonna be like that because
Mm.
like my last three fights, I've just kind of been like swinging for the hills and trying to finish people, and then the guy that I'm fighting, he kind of does the same thing. So I kind of figured they were gonna put us on the main event of it. So I was like, perfect. Honestly, that's how I kind of envisioned this.
Mm.
Like even before, like I had this contenders fight booked. I was like, I'm probably gonna be the main event of this thing, and then people have been telling me this, so it's like I feel like I've everything I've kind of thought about, it's already kind of like platformed onto where it needs to be. So
We'll be back to the interview in just a second, but first, the NFL season is back, and Inside Fighting has a touchdown of a deal for you. We've partnered up with DraftKings, an official partner of the NFL, to bring you an offer where new DraftKings customers who bet $5 receive $250 in bonus bets instantly, as well as 1 month of NFL Plus Premium, just by signing up using our promo code Inside Fighting. Do you feel like that says anything about what the UFC are expecting, or what they're looking at you towards? Because the show does have a natural kind of beginning and end, and sometimes I feel like the guys on the at the end of the show almost have a better chance of getting signed than the guys at the start because people have maybe forgot what happened earlier on. Do you feel like that says something about what the UFC brass are expecting from you next Tuesday?
Yeah. I think they expect me to come out guns blazing and come aggressive, and I think that they know that like this fight's not going to go to decision, you know.
Mm.
So I think it's going to be a high paced fight, but honestly, it's like, everyone's like telling me, just do you. But I think when I just do myself, it's just like a very aggressive approach to the game. So like, I don't really have to pretend or try to be something I'm not. It's just like naturally when I get into the cage, that just comes out of me. So, but I do know like the UFC is looking for finishes and the UFC is looking like for aggressive fighters, but I think that's why I've been on their radar for so long because it's just what I do every time I get out there, But yeah, that doesn't really put any pressure on me. Honestly, my mindset is whether I win or I lose, I'm still like leaving that place with a contract, like I'm coming out with something.
Mm. As much as this show is essentially an audition to the UFC brass, it's also an audition to UFC fans, guys and girls who only watch the UFC as opposed to the other promotions out there. So for those who haven't watched you and will be watching you for the first time next Tuesday, talk to us a little bit about what your style is and what fans can expect to see.
Mm, I mean, my style is it's just kind of like all gas, no brakes kind of a fight,
Mm,
like that will honestly my whole thing in this camp has been able is my coach has been trying to tell me to like come off of it a little bit, they're like we
mm,
need you to chill a little bit and then go, but I'm just like a finisher, like I feel like I'm always looking to kind of do damage, whether it's like first, second, third round, like I'm always looking to do damage, always looking for the finish. And the thing is I feel like sometimes like when I'm fighting somebody, the one thing I'm looking at, I'm always like, everyone's dangerous, everyone can knock everybody out, but there's some people who have that danger factor when it comes to the feet or to the ground. Like if someone's big heavy hitter, I'm like, okay, the danger factor is here. But honestly, I feel like my danger factor is everywhere. Like I've knocked people out cold on their feet, and I can submit people, whether it's leg locks, arm bars, chokes. Like I have it all. So I feel like my danger factor is all over the place.
mm.
So, you know, I think wherever the fight goes, it's like it's gonna be a finish.
I know that you want to do both, but do you feel like it's more important to have an exciting fight or more important to get a quick finish? Because I feel like some guys get in because they finish the fight quickly. Some guys get in because they're entertaining. There's kind of a duality there. Which one do you think is more important to securing the contract?
Yeah, very hard to say because I would like to get the finish, be fashion about it.
Mm.
Fashion will be like nice with it, but um, I think for this fight, I just want to get in there and I just want to take them and whatever I can get, I want to take because I just need to get in, get the finish because I think once I get the finish, they're gonna want to take me in. Uh, I will, but I'm just gonna have to feel it out. Like if I get my hands on this guy, I'm like, God damn, this guy's slow, or oh, he's not that strong, or he's fading really hard. Then that's kind of when I make the decision in my head if I'm gonna like start playing around with the guy, or if I'm gonna look for my shot, look for my finish, or we'll kind of have to see. Maybe I get in there, he just gives me his back, and I'm like, fuck, I have to take this, and I'm gonna have to choke you. This is what it is. Uh, but we'll see. I just know for a fact I don't see us going to decision. I could be up 2 rounds to nothing, and I'm still going to be coming at him in the third round, trying to kill him. So I would be more disappointed in myself if I won the fight by decision and got the contract, whether I went out there and lost, try to get the finish. So I'll be coming guns blazing.
I like your style. Are you feeling any extra pressure going into this one, or is it just business as usual for you?
I think it's just business for me. Like I think this is just one step for me. Like this is just the next step for me to go on to doing like the greater things. Um maybe like if I fought this dude on a regional scene, I'd be like, okay, this guy's tough, but like I'm gonna smash him, like I'm gonna beat him.
Mm.
But the fact that it's on ESPN and Dana White, there's lot more eyes and it's like a little bit more life changing. So like definitely have a little bit of pressure to it, but like I said, like I've been on these stages before, and honestly, when I'm on the bigger stages with the lights and the eyes, that's kind of when I like bring out the best. That's like when the best comes out of me. So I don't know. Sometimes I go out there and I honestly surprise myself. I'm like, God damn, I didn't know I could do that, but all right, let's go.
I love it. I love it. As I understand it, you obviously had an extensive BJJ career. So, well, yeah, competition, I should say. When did becoming a UFC fighter become a goal or a dream of yours? Talk to us a little bit about how long this has been something that you've been trying to turn into reality.
Mm, Honestly, like I remember being like in middle school, I was like, like 13, 12 years old or something like that. Growing up, I kind of got into like, because I moved a lot. So I kind of always gotten like some scuffles here and there. And sometimes I would just fight people just because like I didn't hate the person. I was just like, hey, man, let's go, So I remember my friends always told me like back in the day, they're like, man, I could see you being like one of those MMA fighters, UFC fighters. And I wasn't very good at school, so I wasn't like thinking like, oh, what kind of job am I going to get? I always kind of thought like, that's what I want to do. I want to fight. But where I grew up was a very small town, so like we didn't have access to jujitsu or boxing or any of that type of stuff. So like it was like a dream, but I never really got to try to gotta go chase it. But then when I moved out of that small town, I moved to Texas. And then when I was in Texas, I was kind of like, all right, let's see, like I want to do MMA. Like I know I want to do MMA. So let's see what we got around here. And they didn't have any MMA gyms. They just had like jujitsu gyms and like some striking gyms, but not really good striking gyms. And then honestly, like I was like, okay, well, I have some wrestling because I wrestled in like middle school and high school. So it's like, sure, I'll just do jujitsu. I'll just be a good wrestler with good jujitsu, and then I'll find some striking, and then I'll like start plugging it in. And all of a sudden, jujitsu just really started like taking off for me, and I was just like, dang, all right. Well, I kind of got stuck into jujitsu, so it's like I was competing with all these like super tough world class guys, and like going to all these like big shows and like doing my thing. But I was like, at the time I was doing it, I was like, whatever. Like I didn't not want to do it, but I was just like, that was just what was in the cards that I had in my hand. And then once I got my black belt, I was like, okay, let's see what's next. And then I competed a little bit more. I felt like I got to like, I'm not gonna say the top, but I faced like all the top guys in a way at the time. And then I was like, man, I don't even really want to be doing this. Like I still want to do MMA. And then I changed my mindset, started doing striking all the time. I stopped doing so many jujitsu competitions. Like I still did them, but just not as much. And then I just kind of started running with the MMA because it's like, I felt like I did jujitsu and I did all that and I just liked to do it, but I didn't love to do it. Now I feel like I'm doing what I love. And I feel like in jujitsu, I got pretty dang far and got ranked and stuff for jujitsu. So it's like, and I didn't even really like care for it that much. And
Mm.
now I'm doing something that I love. So I'm curious to see like how far I can take this.
I love it. I have to give a shout out to our mutual friend Evan Elder who put us in touch, and I know that you're working with a lot of high level guys across Syndicate and also the PI, where I know you do some work. Some work. Have you sought any advice from anyone who's currently in the UFC about what you need to do next Tuesday in order to impress the bosses? Have you had any conversations or had any piece of advices from people who've gone through the Contender series similar to yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of them have different types of advice, but most of them all kind of just say, just enjoy the moment. Be present. It's like it's a really fun and good experience to go through, um, and stuff like that. So it's like it's good to hear. Something that I feel like I have it kind of down, but like having people like Evan Elder, I've trained with like other guys like Andre Feely and like Aljamain Sterling and Merab and, just like I like to always ask and pick on their brains and stuff and see what kind of advice they have. But they're just, they're all great people to take advice from. But like people like, Evan Elder, those guys, like to have guys like that around me, like it's very rare, to find good people like
Yeah.
that too, that also, like they want to see me succeed, and stuff like that. So, anytime I ever ask, I'm like, hey, I need some help, like whatever they're doing, whatever he's doing, like they're gonna come over and they'll help me. And I always appreciate that.
Have you got any training in with the machine, Merab as he prepares for his bantamweight title fight?
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of training with him. Honestly, dude, that guy, He's
What's a 5 minute round with him like?
it's very high pace, you
Mm,
know. Like when I first went with him, I would like when I first went with him, I didn't train with him like a ton because like I didn't want to like bother him because like, you know, everyone always bugs him, you know. I
mm,
feel like to train and
yeah.
you know, he's doing his thing. But like then like later on he started getting like he started seeing me at the gym more and then like now he'll call me to come train and man, I'll tell you what though, that guy is a little like he's literally a machine. Like he never stops, he's always going. Um, you know, like at first, like I was like honestly, I was always like, oh yeah, Rob's good, but he's not like that good because I would train with him in like different martial arts of like we would do if we did striking, I would just do striking with him. I'm like, okay, it's okay. And
Mm,
then I would do like grappling with him. I'm like, oh, it was okay. And then like when we start doing MMA, like he's super world class. Like
yeah.
the way he mixes everything up, like that's where
That's his
he's like
speciality.
yeah, and that's the crazy thing with MMA. Like you don't have to be good at like these different like martial arts, you know. He's like, but as long as you mix him up really well, then you know that's MMA, and he's one of the best guys in the world to do it. So, you know, yeah, I'm excited to see him go out there and like so he fights like 4 days after me,
Mm.
so I get to fight, you know, get my dub, get my contract, chill, be happy, and then I get to watch him fight. So I'm excited. It's gonna be a good weekend or a good weekend.
The last question from me, and thank you so much for your time. 10th of September, give me a walkthrough of your perfect fight day. I want to know in your perfect world as you envisage it, what happens when you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night?
Yeah. When I wake up that day, I'm gonna feel good. I'm gonna go out to the gym, have a good shakeout, get a good meal in me, maybe get a little nap in. We'll see how much time I have until they have me going. But you know, I see myself going in there, finishing this dude in the first round, second round. I definitely don't see it going to decision. And then, you know, I see myself making a big statement, good hard finish, and going over, sitting in my seat, and then Dana White saying good things about me, telling me to come over, come get the contract, and then I'll be stoked. I'll be with my family. I'll be with my friends, and it's gonna be a good day, good night. And I don't even know if I will go to sleep that night. Normally, when I compete, I don't sleep very well, so I'll probably just be all super happy and stuff for a couple days, and then. Uh, but yeah, that's how I see it. Just another day, you know, in a way,
Mm.
you know. So get the dub, get the contract, celebrate it, and then we get back to work because that was just a start. And then we get into the UFC, and then we start
Yeah.
making some real noise.
I love it. Well, Cody, great to sit down and chat with you today. I know we've been trying to find a date in the diary, so really glad that we could get it in. Hey, have a great and safe rest of your camp, and best of luck for the fight next Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.